So Dylan Raiola is now with the Georgia Bulldogs. The Nebraska Cornhuskers have found their quarterback for the 2024 class, and the quarterback that's going to help start the Matt Rhule era. And listen, it might not be the quarterback that everybody wanted, because we all looked at it and said, hey, if Matt Rhule is able to go out there and land a 5-star number one player in the country like Dylan Raiola in his first recruiting cycle at Nebraska, they might be making more headway than we've ever seen a coach make at Nebraska in this time of trying to get Nebraska back up to relevance. But guys, before we dive into it, please go ahead, hit that like, hit the subscribe button, jump down in the comments below, and let me know what y'all's thoughts are. Nebraska Cornhusker fans, are you all excited for this 2024 recruiting class and what Matt Rhule can potentially do there? So, Daniel Kaelin, the 4-star quarterback out of Bellevue, Nebraska, ends up decommitting from the Missouri Tigers after he committed there on March 13th. Now, to get a little bit of understanding to this, at the time that he committed to Missouri, the offer that he had to Nebraska wasn't really going to be an offer that really could have been taken. And basically what we say here is it's not a committable offer, because Dylan Raiola is in play, and Nebraska felt like they had a really good shot for him, which, if you're a Nebraska Cornhusker fan, or if you're a Nebraska staff, yeah, like, why would you not feel good about that situation? So they feel good about where they're at for Daniel, or for Dylan. And, for Daniel, looking on the outside in, probably a school that he wanted to go play at, it just didn't make sense. So he commits to the Missouri Tigers. The Missouri fans are all excited there. And then you started to kind of see some rumblings about, okay, like, he's going to potentially decommit. Steve Whitfong actually put in a prediction on March 19th before he decommitted from Missouri to commit to Nebraska. Then you see him decommit from Missouri, and on May 20th, you see him commit to Nebraska at that point. So now, what does that mean? Well, Nebraska has a pretty good footprint of players in their state currently committed to their team. So you have Devon Hall, the number 2 overall player in this class in the state of Nebraska, currently committed to Nebraska. The 375th ranked player, he is a wide receiver, again, out of Bellevue. And then you've also got Ashton Murphy from Omaha, Nebraska. Now, he's not as highly of a rated recruit, but he's on the offensive line. And, an offensive lineman, those are sometimes hard to come by. So it's nice that you're able to go lock those down in your state. Currently, right now, uncommitted, you have Carter Nelson out of Ainsworth, Nebraska, who Nebraska is definitely in the running for. I don't think you have to worry about any team like a Colorado who's taking a visit for. Your biggest competitors in this recruitment is going to be Georgia and Alabama. I think those are the 2 spots where, if you're a Nebraska Cornhusker fan, you've got to watch out. The question is, does Carter Nelson want to stay home, or does he want to get out of his state and potentially try to broaden his horizons, see new things, and get out of the state of Nebraska? I think that's the question we all got to ask ourselves. But you look at it at Isaiah McMorris, another guy out of Bellevue, Nebraska. I would not be shocked to see this prediction flip from USC to Nebraska now, because Oklahoma is not going to be a take for Isaiah McMorris anymore. And where a lot of people thought it was USC, maybe now that you have Daniel Kaelin committed to this class, you guys start trending a little bit more for Isaiah McMorris. And if that's the case, and you can land Carter Nelson and Isaiah and keep the guys that you did, that would put you guys at the top 5 commits in Nebraska committed to Nebraska. So, I mean, if you have Caleb Pyfrome and Caleb Benning wanting to commit to Nebraska as well, then you're looking pretty good, because out of the, let's see here, 10 players that are out of the state of Nebraska ranked in the 247 composite, you would have 7 out of those 10 to your team, where the next two are committed to Notre Dame and Pitt, and then Donald DeFran Jr. is at the bottom out of Lincoln, Nebraska, the cornerback. But the Nebraska Cornhuskers definitely have an opportunity to build a strong class, and it starts with the players in your own state, and Nebraska is recruiting that very well. But you look at some of the other players across the country that, Nebraska's in the running for, especially when it comes to wide receivers and offensive line. Now that you've got a guy like Kalin, well, it's going to help with your recruiting, because now he is able to go out there and he's able to try to help sell the Nebraska brand and what they're trying to do at Nebraska to a lot of these recruits. When you look at a class, what is the important thing here? The important thing is having a quarterback there to help you recruit and to help you go out there and build something, bigger than I think maybe what the coaches can sell. Because when you've got players that are bought in, right, I think that goes a little bit more for other recruits than the coaches trying to sell you into their vision, because you've got players that are bought in there. So I look at guys like Grant Bricks, the offensive tackle, 6'5.5". Listen, he is extremely talented. Out of Iowa, not a lot of people know what's going on in this recruitment, but he has over 22 offers, and it looks like right now this is an Oklahoma, Iowa, Nebraska, and Notre Dame battle. So if Nebraska is able to get in there and pull one off like that and get a, right now currently ranked as the number 110th ranked player in the country, that would be absolutely incredible and a big time pickup for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. But then you look at potential wide receivers that you guys could continue to stack for Kalin so that he can go out there and be successful. Well, I look at guys like Ernest Campbell out of Texas. We talked about Isaiah McMorvis out of Bellevue West, a teammate of Kalin, which, again, I don't think I could stress that enough. But then you've got a guy like Gatlin Bear out of Burley, Idaho, a top 100 player who Nebraska is actually in a really good position for. So I look at what Matt Rhule is doing out there at Nebraska, and I'm impressed. Just going to say it. I'm impressed. Now, it would have been a little bit more impressive if y'all could have landed Dylan Raiola, because all of a sudden I think that class has the chance to be top 10 at that point, because I think Dylan Raiola just demands that type of talent to come play with him. But ultimately, that's not going to be the case this year. Nebraska's not landing the number one player in the country. But maybe after a couple years of Matt Rhule really showing some success at Nebraska, maybe if he is able to bring Nebraska back to relevance, maybe get into a Big Ten championship game, maybe players actually start to buy in to what Matt Rhule and this staff are selling there at Nebraska. Rome was not built overnight. It takes time. So, guys, go ahead and jump down in the comments below. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are on the recent commitment of Daniel Kaelin to the University of Nebraska. I thought this was really interesting. That's why we're talking about it. Nebraska fans, if you want to see more content, jump down in the comments below, hit the like, and hit that subscribe